What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think is the best loadout for zero build in Fortnite Chapter 7. As always, if you guys do find this video to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what your favorite setup is, and if you guys would like to use my code in the item shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So I think, like most Fortnite seasons, it would be ideal this season to only carry 2 weapons. But there are some outlier situations where maybe you want to carry a third, which we will get into in a moment. Your 2 main weapons are going to be your shotgun and your AR, obviously, because that is the case with pretty much every Fortnite season. I made a video about the shotguns yesterday, kind of comparing them a little bit more in depth, but I feel like both the shotguns this season are incredibly good, and it really just comes down to personal preference. And I would say, like, your playstyle and also how good and consistent your aim is, because the iron pump shotgun is probably better if your aim is incredibly good. Like, the ceiling of the iron pump shotgun is higher than that of the twin hammer shotguns, but for most players the twin hammer shotguns are going to be better just because the average level is going to be better. Like, I feel like in an average player's hands, you're probably going to do better more consistently with the twin hammer shotguns, whereas the iron pump shotgun, in some situations, when you hit an incredibly hard-hitting opening shot, you can eliminate enemies really quick. But in situations where, you know, maybe you miss a shot, your aim isn't the greatest, it's a somewhat chaotic fight where you're on, like, the back foot and the enemy is, like, being aggressive with the twin hammer shotguns, I think those are the situations where the iron pump struggles. And that's why the twin hammer shotgun is going to be the shotgun that most players prefer, at least as of right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this changes as time goes on in the season, if there's like balance updates or people get more comfortable. But the amount of pressure the twin hammer shotguns put out in a close range fight makes it hard for the iron pump shotgun player to, you know, perform. And the harder it is for them to perform, probably the less perfect they're going to be. And then the twin hammer shotguns are going to win the fight. So as I said, I think both are good. Both are very viable. But in most players' hands, the twin hammer shotguns are probably going to be the preferred choice. As far as ARs go, I think it's incredibly cut and dry. The Deadeye AR is incredible. This is going to be the red dot AR of this season, and pretty much always in zero build, if there's a red dot AR and a third person AR, the red dot AR takes the cake because it is more accurate, more consistent, better for playing around cover. Like, it's easier to peek with the red dot ARs, I think, and show very little while also hitting shots. Easier to be consistent at long range. The fact that you don't have to worry about bloom or anything is great. And the Deadeye AR is also just one of the best ARs we've ever had. It's very incredible. I think the recoil on this is very minuscule. The damage and fire rate aren't the greatest, but if you're able to hit headshots, you can melt enemies incredibly fast. And that is, again, where this weapon really shines. If your aim is consistent and you're able to consistently go for headshots and land them on enemies, you are going to dish out damage very, very fast with the Deadeye AR. And even if your aim is mid, I feel like it's just better because it has the red dot and the Enforcer doesn't. I don't think the Enforcer AR is terrible by any means. But as I said, typically in zero build, especially if you have a red dot option and you have a third person option, the red dot is better, especially if the red dot AR is just good. Like, I feel like the red dot AR would need to be really bad for the third person one to, like, kind of be the preferred choice. But the dead AR is not bad. It's very, very good. So for now, this is far and away the best choice. I don't really expect this to change. It might, like, they may nerf it, but as I said, the trend is just that the red dot ARs dominate zero build. And the fire rate is good enough to where it can combo with the pump. It's not the best close range option, pump and Deadeye AR. Like, obviously, if you had one of the SMGs, that would be better. But then you have to dedicate an inventory slot to that, which is something you typically don't want to do. So the fact that it's versatile enough to be a spray weapon is also something that's really good. So those are going to be your 2 main weapons, your choice of shotgun between the 2. They're both solid. And the Deadeye AR. The rest of the inventory is probably going to be utility. So we have heals in the game. You typically want to carry a healing item, I think, especially with the sniper being in the loot pool and the Deadeye AR being incredibly good. There's going to be a lot of fights this season that maybe start with you taking damage and then you need to reset and heal while the enemy is pushing into you. So I would highly suggest carrying heals, and that's something that's pretty much always the case. This season we have very standard healing options, so it's probably going to be either big pots or chug jugs depending on what you find. If you want to take the time to fish, the shield fish is an incredibly good healing item, and it does heal very quick. But for the most part, I'll just be taking either big pots or a Chug Jug, whichever I find. And one of the nice things about big pots is all of the heal vending machines on the map sell big pots, so you can consistently stay topped off on them throughout the course of the game. And if you are ever in need of heals, you want to visit those vending machines and make sure you get some big pots. Gold resets every game this season, but you do find a lot of it, and typically in the mid game you will have thousands of gold, and so you should be able to buy big pots with no real concern. For mobility, I think you're going to want to take either the shockwave grenades or the Forsaken Blade, or both ideally. But as I said, a lot of fights this season are going to start with you getting shot by the Deadeye AR, unless you're playing very passive. But if you're active on the map, there's going to be times where the enemies get opening shots on you, and being able to shockwave away or Forsaken Blade away to some piece of cover to try to heal and reset the fight is going to be essential. And on the flip side of this, again, the Deadeye AR is so good that a lot of fights are going to start with you getting shots on the enemy. And if you get like 100, 150 AR damage on somebody and you want to try to translate that into a kill, you're probably going to need some mobility to push that player out, you know, pressure the damage you got, get that player out of the game, get your elimination, get your more loot, whatever. So mobility is essential in Zero Build, and this season is no different. And both the shockwave grenades and the Forsaken Blade are great choices. The one downside of the Forsaken Blade is there's just not very many on the map. There's the gold portals that open around the map, but not every portal opens every game. And so it's not like there's even, I think there's like less than 5 gold katanas on the map per game. And then there's a purple one that you can get from eliminating the dummy at the Ripped Tides POI. You eliminate the dummy NPC to get the purple one at Ripped Tides. And then you can also eliminate the Bride NPC at the Sandy POI. I forget exactly what it's called, but the Sandy kind of casino POI, if you eliminate the Kill Bill Bride NPC there, she will also drop a purple katana. The purple katana only has 2 uses per max charge, so it's not as good mobility, and it does degrade faster, but it's certainly better than not having any mobility at all. And then your final slot is really going to be up to you. So this would be either extra mobility. I prefer to carry shockwave grenades and the Forsaken Blade, so I run double mobility heals, my AR and my shotgun. But you could also use a cover item like bunkers or bubbles, and a lot of times I will also end up taking these if my mobility runs out. So like if I run out of shockwave grenades and there's bunkers there, I'll definitely carry them. If my katana breaks or I just haven't gotten one that game for whatever reason, then sure, I would like to take bunkers, that's fine. Portable shield bubbles work good too, but I feel like with how this season plays out and how good the ARs are, I would rather have bunkers than bubbles. And then you could also carry an extra weapon in this slot if you want to, but I'm very much prefer to only carry 2 weapons. But if you wanted to carry the sniper, this is, you know, you would probably sacrifice one of your mobility items or one of your utility items to carry it. If you really wanted to carry a dedicated spray weapon with the iron pump shotgun, so like maybe the dual SMGs or the hollow SMG, maybe the tac pistol, then you could do it in this slot, but that isn't something I would like to do. I think if you are going to use the hollow pump while having the Deadeye AR as your spray weapon isn't as good as having a dedicated spray weapon, sacrificing the utility just to have a better spray isn't something I would want to do, but it might be something that you do from time to time, just depending on what you have access to. Kind of as I said, a lot of times I'll end up having bunkers just because I run out of one of my mobility items or I don't have access to one of my mobility items. And if you like using the pump and you're in that situation where you just haven't gotten shockwaves yet or haven't gotten the Forsaken Blade yet, then running a dedicated spray weapon in like the early game up until you find that isn't the worst choice ever. But that is going to be it for this video. I think the loot pool this season is pretty straightforward and pretty simple, and my preferred setup is going to be either the twin hammer shotguns or the iron pump, the Deadeye AR, heals, the Forsaken Blade, and shockwaves. Let me know what your favorite setup is down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.